the potential for growth, employment, and exports. They will also assess the impact of emerging technologies, including AI, on jobs and skill requirements and propose measures thereof. To create a range of skilled career pathways, a new range of skilled career pathways for our youth, I propose interventions in the following sectors. Health. Existing institutions for allied health professionals will be upgraded and new AHP institutions established in private and government sectors. This will cover 10 selected disciplines, including optometry, radiology, anesthesia, OT technology, applied psychology and behavioral health, and add 1 lakh AHPs over the next 5 years. A strong care system covering geriatric and allied care services will be built. A variety of NSQF aligned programs will be developed to train multi-skilled carers. I propose to launch a scheme to support states in establishing 5 regional medical hubs in partnership with the private sector. These hubs will serve as integrated healthcare complexes that combine medical, educational, and research facilities. They will have Ayush centers, medical value tourism facilitation centers, and infrastructure for diagnostics, post-care, and rehabilitation. These hubs will provide diverse opportunities, job opportunities for health professionals, including doctors and AHPs. Ancient Indian yoga, already respected in several parts of the world, was given a mass global recognition when Honorable Prime Minister took it to the UN. Post-COVID, Ayurveda gained a similar global acceptance and recognition. Exporting quality Ayurveda products helps farmers who grow the herbs and youth who process the products. To meet growing global demand, a few more steps are being taken. I propose to 1. Set up 3 new All India Institutes of Ayurveda. 2. Upgrade Ayush pharmacies and drug testing labs for higher standards of certification ecosystem and make available more skilled personnel. 3. A subsidy support scheme for establishment of veterinary and para-veterinary colleges, veterinary hospitals, diagnostic laboratories, and breeding facilities in private sector. Collaboration between Indian and foreign institutions will also be facilitated. Orange economy. India's animation, visual effects, gaming and comics sector, AVGC sector, is a growing industry projected to require 2 million professionals by 2030. I propose to support the Indian Institute of Creative Technologies, Mumbai, in setting up AVGC content creator labs in 15,000 secondary schools all over the country and 500 colleges. The Indian design industry is expanding rapidly, and yet there is prolonged hours of study and laboratory work pose some challenges for girl students. Through VGF, viability gap funding and capital support, 1 girls' hostel will be established in every district. To promote astrophysics and astronomy via immersive experiences. 4 telescope infrastructure facilities will be set up or upgraded. the National Large Solar Telescope, the National Large Optical Infrared Telescope, the Himalayan Chandra Telescope, and the Cosmos 2 Planetarium. Tourism, ecosystem of jobs for local researchers, historians, content creators, and technology partners. India has the potential and opportunity to offer world-class trekking and hiking experience. We will develop ecologically sustainable mountain trails in Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand, and Jammu Kashmir. Also in Araku Valley in the Eastern Ghats and Podigai Malai in the Western Ghats. Turtle trails along key nesting sites, heritage and culture tourism. I propose to develop 15 archaeological sites, including Lothal, Dolavira, Rakhigarhi, Adichanallur, Saranath, Hastinapur, and Leh Palace into vibrant experiential cultural destinations. Excavated landscapes will be open to the public through curated walkways. Immersive storytelling skills and technologies will be introduced to help conservation labs, interpretation centers, and guides. The sports sector provides multiple means of employment, skilling, and job opportunities. Taking forward the systematic nurturing of sports talent which is set in motion through the Khelo India program earlier, I propose to launch a Khelo India mission to transform the sports sector over the next decade. The mission will facilitate and provide platforms, and development of sports infrastructure for training and competition. Our third Kartavya aligns with our vision of Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas towards Vikasit Bharat. This requires targeted efforts for 1. Increasing farmer incomes through productivity enhancement and entrepreneurship, with special attention to small and marginal farmers. B. Empowering Divyangjan through access to livelihood opportunities, training, and high-quality assistive devices. C. Empowering the vulnerable to access mental health and trauma care. D. Focus on the Purvodaya states and the Northeast region to accelerate development and employment opportunities. Fisheries. We will undertake initiatives for integrated development of 500 reservoirs and Amrit Sarovars. 2. Strengthen the fisheries value chain in coastal areas and enable market linkages involving startups and women-led groups together with fish farmer producer organizations. Animal husbandry. To provide quality employment opportunities in rural and peri-urban areas, we will support the animal husbandry sector in entrepreneurship development through A. A credit-linked subsidy program, B. Scaling up and modernization of livestock enterprise organizations. High-value agriculture. To diversify farm outputs, increase productivity, enhance farmers' incomes, and create new employment opportunities, we will support high-value crops such as coconut, sandalwood, cocoa, cashew in the coastal areas, agar trees in northeast, and nuts such as almonds, walnuts, and pine nuts in our hilly regions. These, all of them, will be supported. India is the world's largest producer of coconuts. About 30 million people, including nearly 10 million farmers, depend on coconuts for their livelihood. To further enhance competitiveness in coconut production, I propose a coconut promotion scheme to increase production and enhance productivity through various interventions, including replacing and non-productive trees, with new saplings or plants or varieties in major coconut growing states. A dedicated program is proposed for Indian cashew and cocoa to make India self-reliant in raw cashew and coconut production and processing, enhance raw cashew and coconut production and processing, enhance export competitiveness, and transform Indian glory of the Indian sandalwood ecosystem, to rejuvenate old, low-yielding orchards and expand high-density cultivation of walnut almonds and pine nuts. We will support a dedicated program to enhance farmer incomes and in bringing value addition by engaging youth. Bharat Vistar, that is virtually integrated system to access agricultural resources. I propose to launch Bharat Vistar, a multilingual AI tool that shall integrate the AgriStack portals and the ICAR package on agricultural practices with AI systems. This will enhance farm productivity, enable better decisions for farmers, and reduce risk by providing customized advisory support. She Marts for rural women-led enterprises. Building on the success of Lakpati Didi program, I propose to help women take the next step from credit-linked livelihoods to being owners of enterprises. Self-help entrepreneur, She Marts will be set up as community-owned retail outlets within the cluster-level federations through enhanced and innovative livelihood opportunities, through industry-relevant and customized training specific to each Divyangjan group. Divyang Sahara Yojana, timely access to high-quality assistive devices for all eligible Divyangjan is a fundamental need. I propose to 1. Support the Artificial Limbs Manufacturing Corporation of India, ALIMCO, to set up and to scale up production of assistive devices. Invest in R&D, assistive devices. Invest in R&D and AI integration. Strengthen PM Divyasha Kendras and support setting up of assistive technology marts as modern retail style centers where Divyangjan and senior citizens can see, try and purchase assistive products. Reaffirming our commitment to mental health and trauma care. There are no national institutes for mental health care in North India. We will therefore set up a NIMHANS 2 and also upgrade national mental health institutes in Ranchi and in Tezpur as regional apex institutions and northeastern regions. Purvodaya, I propose the development of an integrated East Coast industrial corridor with a well-connected node at Durgapur, creation of 5 tourism destinations in 5 Purvodaya states, and the provision of 4,000 e-buses. Buddhist sites in northeastern region. The northeastern region is a civilizational confluence of Theravada and Mahayana or Vajrayana traditions. I propose to launch a scheme for development of Buddhist circuits in Arunachal Pradesh, Sikkim, Assam, Manipur, Mizoram, and Tripura. The scheme will cover preservation of temples and monasteries, pilgrimage interpretation centers, connectivity, and pilgrim amenities. 16th Finance Commission. On 17th November 2025, the 16th Finance Commission submitted its report to the President. As mandated under Article 281 of the Constitution, The government is to lay the report along with the explanatory memorandum on the action taken report on the recommendations of the Commission in Parliament, which, Sir, Honourable Speaker, you've allowed me to do at the commencement of this session. The government has accepted the recommendation of the Commission to retain the vertical share of devolution at 41. Fiscal consolidation. Government has been delivering on our fiscal commitments consistently without compromising on social needs. To strive towards accepted standards of fiscal management in Budget 25-26, I had indicated that the central government would target reaching a debt-to-GDP ratio of 50 plus or minus 1% by 2030-31. In line with this, the debt-to-GDP ratio is estimated to be 55.6% of GDP in BE 26-27, compared to 56.1% of GDP in RE 25-26. A declining debt-to-GDP ratio will gradually free up resources for priority sector lending and expenditure by reducing the outgo on interest payments. One of the main operational instruments for debt targeting is the fiscal deficit. I am happy to inform this august House that I fulfilled my commitment made in 2021-2022 to reduce fiscal deficit below 4.5% of GDP by 25-26. In RE 25-26, the fiscal deficit has been estimated at par with BE of 25-26. The revised estimates of the non-debt receipts are 34 lakh crore rupees, of which the centre's net tax receipts are 26.7 lakh crore. The revised estimate of the total expenditure is 49.6 lakh crore rupees, of which the capital expenditure is about 11 lakh crores. Budget estimates 2026 to 2027. Coming to 26-27, the non-debt receipts and the total expenditure are estimated as 36.5 lakh crore and 53.5 lakh crore respectively. The centre's net tax receipts are estimated at 28.7 lakh crore rupees. To finance the fiscal deficit, the net market borrowings from dated securities are estimated at 11.7 lakh crore rupees. The balance financing is expected to come from small savings and other sources. The gross market borrowings are estimated. The simplified income tax rules and forms will be notified shortly, giving adequate time to taxpayers to acquaint themselves with its requirements. The forms have been redesigned such that ordinary citizens can comply without difficulty. Ease of living. I propose that any interest awarded by the Motor Accident Claims Tribunal to a natural person will be exempt from income tax, and any TDS on this account will be done away with. I propose to reduce TCS rate on the sale of overseas tour program package from the current 5% and 20% to 2% without any stipulation of amount. I propose to reduce TCS rate for pursuing education and for medical purposes under the Liberalized Remittance Scheme, popularly known as LRS, proposed to be specifically brought within the ambit of payment to contractors for the purpose of TDS to avoid ambiguity. Thus, TDS on these services will be at the rate of either 1% or 2% only. I propose a scheme for small taxpayers, wherein a rule-based automated process will enable obtaining a lower or nil deduction certificate instead of filing an application with the assessing officer. For the ease of taxpayer holding securities in multiple companies. I propose to enable depositories to accept Form 15G or Form 15H from the investor and provide it directly to various relevant companies. I propose to extend time available for revising returns from 31st December to up to 31st March with the payment of a nominal fee. I also propose to stagger the timeline for filing of tax returns. Individuals with ITR 1 and ITR 2 returns will continue to file till 31st July, and non-audit business cases or trusts are proposed to be allowed time till 31st August. TDS on sale of immovable property by a non-resident is proposed to be deducted and deposited through resident buyers and his or her PAN-based challan instead of requiring a TAN, which is a temporary accounting number. To address or assets below a certain size. This scheme would be applicable for two categories of taxpayers, namely A, who did not disclose their overseas income or assets, and B, who disclosed their overseas income and or paid due tax but could not declare the asset acquired. For category A, the limit of undisclosed income or asset is proposed to be up to 1 crore rupees. They need to pay 30% of fair market value of asset or 30% of undisclosed income as tax and 30% as additional income tax in lieu of penalty, and would thereby get immunity from prosecution of proceedings are hindrance to the ease of doing business. I propose to integrate assessment and penalty proceedings by way of a common order for both. There will be no interest liability on the taxpayer on the penalty amount for the period of appeal before the first appellate authority, irrespective of the outcome of appeal process. Assessment proceedings have been initiated and an additional 10% tax rate for the relevant year. The assessing officer will then use only this updated return in his proceedings. There is already a framework for immunity from penalty and prosecution in the cases of underreporting. I propose to apply this framework for immunity to misreporting too. However, in such a case, the taxpayer will need to pay 100% of the tax amount as an additional income tax over and above the tax and interest due. Penalties for certain technical defaults, such as failure to get accounts audited, non-furnishing of transfer pricing audit report, and default in furnishing statement for financial transactions are proposed to be converted into fee. I propose to rationalize prosecution framework under Income Tax Act while maintaining a careful balance for deterrence in some serious offence. Non-production of books of account and documents and requirement of TDS payment where payment is made in kind are being decriminalized. Further, those into fines. There is no penalty. There is no penalty presently for non-disclosure of non-immovable foreign assets with aggregate value
less than 20 lakh rupees. I propose to also provide them with immunity from prosecution with retrospective effect from 1/10/2024. Cooperatives. Deduction is already allowed to a primary cooperative society engaged in supplying milk, oilseeds, fruits or vegetables raised or grown by its members. I propose to extend this deduction to also include supply of cattle feed and cotton seed produced by its members. I propose to allow inter-cooperative society dividend income as deduction under the new tax regime
to the extent it is further distributed to its members. I further propose to allow exemption for a period of 3 years to dividend income received by a notified national cooperative federation on their investments made in companies up to 31/1/2026. This exemption would be allowed only for dividends further distributed to its member cooperatives. Supporting IT sector as in
सेफ हार्बर मार्जिन के साथ सूचना प्रौद्योगिकी सेवाओं की एक सकल श्रेणी के अंतर्गत सम्मिलित किए जाने का प्रस्ताव है। आईटी सेवाओं के लिए सेफ हार्बर प्राप्त करने के लिए सीमा को 300 करोड़ रुपए से पर्याप्त रूप से बढ़ाकर 2000 करोड़ रुपए किया जा रहा है। आईटी सेवाओं के लिए सेफ हार्बर का अनुमोदन एक स्वचालित नियम आधारित प्रक्रिया द्वारा किया जाएगा, जिससे आवेदनों की जांच करने और स्वीकार करने के लिए किसी कर अधिकारी की आवश्यकता नहीं होगी। एक बार किसी आईटी सेवा कंपनी द्वारा इसके लिए आवेदन करने पर कंपनी की इच्छानुसार इसी सेफ हार्बर को 5 वर्ष की अवधि के लिए जारी रखा जा सकता है। मैं अग्रिम मूल्य निर्धारण करार एपीए करने की इच्छुक आईटी सेवा कंपनियों के लिए आईटी सेवाओं हेतु एक पक्षीय एपीए प्रक्रिया को तेज करने का प्रस्ताव करती हूं, जिसे 2 वर्षों की अवधि के भीतर पूरा करने का प्रयास किया जाएगा। करदाता के अनुरोध पर 2 वर्ष की अवधि को आगे 6 महीने के लिए बढ़ाया जा सकता है।
And boost investment in data centers. I propose to provide tax holiday till 2047 to any foreign company that provides cloud services to customers globally by using data center services from India. It will house an entity to harness the efficiency of just-in-time logistics for electronic manufacturing, to provide fillip to toll manufacturing in India. I propose to provide exemption from income tax for 5 years to any non-resident who provides capital goods, equipment or tooling to any toll manufacturer in a bonded zone. To encourage vast pool of global talent to work in India for a longer period of time, I propose to provide exemption to global, non-India sourced income of a non-resident expert for a stay period of 5 years under notified schemes. I propose to provide exemption from minimum who pay tax on presumptive basis. Tax administration. I propose to constitute a joint committee of Ministry of Corporate Affairs and Central Board of Direct Taxes for incorporating aid to support Prime Minister Modi's vision of homegrown accounting and advisory firms was brought in to address the improper use of buyback route by promoters. In the interest of minority shareholders, I propose to tax buyback for all types of shareholders as capital gains. However, to disincentivize misuse of tax arbitrage, promoters will pay an additional buyback tax. This will make effective tax 22% for corporate promoters. For non-corporate promoters, the effective tax will be 30%. TCS rate for sellers of specific goods, namely alcoholic liquor, scrap and minerals, will be rationalized to 2%, and that on tendu leaves will be reduced from 5% to 2%. I propose to raise the STT on futures to 0.05% respectively. We reformed the taxation landscape for corporates in 2019. Alternate tax credit is proposed to be allowed to companies only in the new regime. Set off using available MAT credit is proposed to be allowed to an extent of 1/4 of the tax liability in the new regime. MAT is proposed to be made final tax, so there will be no further credit accumulation from 1st April 2026. In line with this change, the rate of final tax is being reduced to 14% from the current MAT rate of 15%. The brought forward MAT credit of taxpayers accumulated till 30th March 2026 will continue to be available to them for set-off as above. Indirect taxes. I shall now take up proposals related to indirect taxes. My proposals for customs and manufactured in India or where the imports are negligible. Similarly, to further simplify the process of ascertaining the rate of duty applicable on a particular item, I propose to incorporate certain effective rates in various customs notifications to the tariff schedule itself. I shall now take up sector-specific proposals. Promotion of exports of marine, leather, and textile products. I propose to increase the limit for duty-free imports of specified inputs used for processing seafoods for export from the current 1% to 3% of FOB value of the previous year's export turnover. I also propose to allow duty-free imports of specified inputs, which is currently available for exports of leather or synthetic footwear, to exports of shoe uppers as well. I propose to extend the time period for export of final product from the existing 6 months to 1 year for exporters of leather or textile garments, leather or synthetic footwear, and other leather products. Energy transition and security on import of sodium antimonate for use in manufacture of solar glass. Nuclear power. I propose to extend the existing basic customs duty exemption on imports of goods required for nuclear power projects till the year 2035 and expand it for all nuclear plants irrespective of their capacity. Critical minerals. It is proposed to provide basic customs duty exemption to the import of capital goods required for the processing of critical minerals in India. Biogas blended CNG. I propose to exclude the entire value of biogas while calculating the central excise duty payable on biogas blended CNG. Civil and defense aviation. I propose to exempt basic customs duty on components and parts required for the manufacture of civilian training and other aircrafts. It is proposed to exempt basic customs duty on raw materials imported for the manufacture of parts of aircraft to be used in maintenance, repair, or overall requirements by units in the defense sector. Utilization of capacity by manufacturing units in the special economic zones due to global trade disruptions, I propose as a special one-time measure to facilitate sales by eligible manufacturing units in SEZs to the domestic tariff area at concessional rates of duty. The quantity of such sales will be limited to a prescribed proportion of their exports. Necessary regulatory changes will be undertaken to operationalize the measures while ensuring level playing field for the units working in the DTA. Ease of living. To rationalize the customs duty structure for goods imported for personal use, I propose to reduce the tariff rate on all dutiable goods imported for personal use from 20% to 10%. To provide relief to patients, particularly those suffering from cancer, I propose to exempt basic customs duty on 17 drugs or medicines. I propose also to add 7 more for custom processes to have minimal intervention for smoother and faster movement of goods and greater certainty to the trade. Trust-based systems. I propose to enhance duty deferral period for Tier 2 and Tier 3 authorized economic operators, known as AEOs, from 15 days to 30 days. I propose to provide eligible manufacturer importers the same duty deferral facility. This should encourage them to get themselves accredited as a full-fledged Tier 3 AEO in due course. To provide greater certainty and for better business planning, I propose to extend validity period of advance ruling binding on customs from the present 3 years to 5 years. In the spirit of the whole of government approach, government agencies will be encouraged to leverage AEO accreditation for preferential treatment in clearing their cargo. Regular importers with trusted long-standing supply chains will be recognized in the risk system so that the need for verification of their cargo every time an arrival of goods will automatically notify customs for completing their clearance formalities. This will enable goods to be released immediately on arrival. The customs warehouse framework will be transformed into a warehouse operator-centric system with a self-declarations, electronic tracking, and risk-based audit. These reforms will move away from the current system of officer-dependent approvals and reduce transaction delays and compliance costs. Ease of doing business. Approvals required for cargo clearance from various government agencies will be seamlessly processed through a single and interconnected digital window by the end of the financial year. Processes involved in clearance of food, drugs, plant, and animal and wildlife products, accounting for about 70% of interdicted cargo, will be operationalized on this system by April 2026 itself. For goods not having any compliance requirement, clearance will be done by customs immediately after online registration is completed by the importer, subject to the payment of duty. Customs integrated system will be rolled out in 2 years as a new export opportunities to support Indian fishermen to fully harness the economic value of marine resources beyond our territorial waters. The following measures will be taken. A. Fish catch by an Indian fishing vessel in exclusive economic zone or on the high seas will be made free of duty. Landing of such fish on foreign port will be treated as export of goods. Safeguards will be put in place to prevent misuse during fish catch, transit, or transshipment. To support aspirations of India's small businesses, artisans, and startups to access global markets through e-commerce, I am pleased to announce complete removal of the current value cap of 10 lakh rupees per consignment on courier exports. In addition, handling of rejected and returned consignments will be improved with effective use of technology for identifying such consignments. I propose to revise provisions governing baggage clearance during international travel to address genuine concerns of passengers. The revised
number 3 माननीय वित्त मंत्री जी.
Item number 2, sir.
3.
Sir, with your permission, I rise to lay on the table of the following statements under Section 3, 1 of the Fiscal Responsibility and Budget Management Act of 2003, medium-term fiscal policy cum fiscal policy strategy statement, and macroeconomic framework statement.
आइटम नंबर 4 माननीय वित्त मंत्री जी।
Sir, with your permission, I move for leave to introduce the Finance Bill 2026.
प्रश्न ये कि विधेयक को पुनर्स्थापित करने की अनुमति प्रदान की जाए। जो सदस्य इस पक्ष में हाँ गए, जो सदस्य विरोध में ना गए, मेरे विचार में निर्णय हाँ वालों के पक्ष में, हाँ वालों के पक्ष में अनुमति प्रदान की जाए। कल सोमवार दिनांक 2 फरवरी 2026 को